The operation for Hawija is in its final stages. We have seen in the past that even though there are victory announcements like this one, the fighting is usually not quite over. And also in the case of Hawija, there are still reports of some pockets of resistance of the Islamic State group in the northeast of the city. So we will likely still see some combat in the coming days before the area is completely liberated. Now, after that happens, there are still some areas being controlled by the Islamic State group in the western Anbar province near the border with Syria. So in the coming weeks, we will see the operation to retake those areas in the city of Al-Qaim. They will likely begin in the coming weeks. Now, even after that is done, even after the Islamic State group no longer actually controls territory in Iraq, this doesn't mean that this will be the end of the terror group. We've seen over the past few weeks that they still retain the ability to launch suicide attacks in parts of the country that are actually controlled by Iraqi security forces. So after these battles against the Islamic State group are over, we're likely to see that especially the counter-terrorism forces who've acted sort of as ground troops in this war will return to their actual mandate to actually identify sleeper cells and to try to thwart suicide attacks across the country. And of course, then there will be the final and very important task to really mend the rifts that this war has created in Iraqi society.
So Iraq not quite done then, obviously, with the Islamic State group. And also Hawija, because it's in the province of Kirkuk, there could be another conflict in this contested area.
Indeed, because in fact the forces that have been battling the Islamic State group are really diverse. They have their own interests, and these different, oftentimes conflicting interests are likely to become more pronounced now that they don't face a common enemy anymore. Around the areas of Kirkuk and Hawija, this is particularly the case between the Kurdish Peshmerga fighters, which were not involved in the offensive in Hawija, but which were nevertheless holding the front lines around that area, and the Shia militia called the Hashd al-Shabi. These two groups have really a lot of tensions, which have further been exacerbated by the Kurdish referendum, which was held on September 25th. Both forces have used the fight against the Islamic State group in this area to advance their territorial ambitions, and both lay claim to this land, which is essentially disputed. So now that this battle in Hawija is almost over, essentially what you have is Kurdish Peshmerga fighters and Shia militia who really don't like each other, sharing a front line, oftentimes with their checkpoints just meters apart. So there is really a fear that just one spark, just one incident, just one bullet could ignite another civil war.